What is up, everybody? It seems like a long time, but it's only been 3 days. How are you all feeling? As you can see, I've got my cans on, and that means I am joined on the line by a guest. Today, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by my good friend, a massive Leicester City supporter, Anthony, aka LCFC Boya. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, it's difficult at the moment, like not being allowed to go out and stuff in lockdown. No work, no football, so a bit bored, but slowly getting through it.
Oh man, I tell you what, you really appreciate sport, don't you? When it's not there, you kind of realise what an important role it does have to play in both society, I suppose, and in our normal day to day lives.
Yeah, definitely. I found myself watching the 2005 Ashes today, to show sort of how bored I've been.
Wow, that is a level of boredom, mate, that I don't know if I'll ever get to. I'm not going to lie about it. Ashes cricket. Ooh, that is. I don't know, man. Are you a cricket fan in general, or did you just have nothing left to watch?
I'm a very casual cricket fan. If the Ashes is on the TV, I'll watch it, but I'm not one of those that will follow every England game and sort of every international.
Yeah, I tried it, man. I tried it during the Cricket World Cup that Ireland qualified for a few years back that was taking place in the Caribbean, and I got into it for a little bit, but the test stuff, man, I can't be arsed with it. It's too long. 5 days is just too long for anything to resolve itself.
Yeah, well, you say that I'd love the league to be resolved in 5 days, but
Well, there is a plan, mate. There is a plan, and we'll get there. There is a
yeah.
plan that's been put forward. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. I'm not sure if even Anthony has seen it, but The Independent and my friend Miguel Delaney, I say my friend, I met him once, that class of his friend to me, besties as far as I'm concerned. Miguel Delaney has put an article out that suggests, Anthony, that we might see a World Cup style end to the season in maybe July or August, where each team gets isolated or quarantined in a hotel somewhere around the Midlands and I believe in London. And they're looking at perhaps doing a 6 week schedule to try and get all of these games played, and every single one of them made televised on television in a spectacular event. And I'm not lying, Anthony. I'm over the moon at the thought of this, mate. That would make up for it, man. As much as we can't get back the time that we've lost, that would be a rather nice end to the season.
I'm not on the same page as you with that. I'm not fully behind it
Oh, you're
because
not
I
on the
think
Harry
it's
Kane
sort
page
of.
though, mate. Please don't tell me you're pulling a Harry Kane on me.
I don't know what Harry Kane said, but for me, it needs to, like, first and foremost, it needs to be safe. And I've seen this like all over Twitter and stuff, and but people seem to think it would only be sort of, say, if like Leicester were meant to be playing Watford, that it would only be sort of a Leicester team, a Watford team, and a few staff. It wouldn't. There'll be hundreds of people per game there. So even though it's behind closed doors and hasn't got full capacity, it would still take a lot of people. And then being in the Midlands and in London, I believe they're the two hotbeds of the coronavirus in the UK. So I don't understand that either. But if it was, and then sorry, my last point is, if it's going to be on TV, it's going to be another sort of thing that we're going to have to fork out for, because I can't see them doing it for free. But
You
if
know
it
what though?
works,
Just on that. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. Just on that. This is my own personal experience. My wife handed me her phone the other day, and it said to me that Sky have this thing up now that if I wanted to pause my Sky Sports subscription because there's no sport on, that you can do that and then turn it back on whenever you want to. So I want to give Sky a little bit of credit for that, and I never really do give them much.
yeah, well, I wouldn't was going to say they didn't really have much choice. They did, but if there's football that's going that they know there's going to be a demand for, they're going to put the prices through the roof. And for me, obviously, as a Leicester fan, we're in a great position, and I want this season to be finished. But I'm just not convinced this is the way to do it.
Right, so let's try and break it down. I mean, there's some fair points that you've raised there. And look, I'm an eternal optimist, mate. I always want to try and see the best in these situations. So I did think, like you did, mate, that the Midlands and London are two epicentres, two hotspots right now for what's going on. But I just want to say that we're talking about probably July or August time here. So hopefully when we're on the road to recovery, fingers crossed. Now, nobody knows what the future might hold. Nobody knows if we're going to see a second wave. Nobody knows anything, quite frankly, right now. Other things that have been raised, Anthony, are the fact that what happens if a player does his ACL, breaks his leg, something along those lines. So, again, one train of thought, I think I read this on the Echo, was that maybe there will be a private hospital almost commandeered by the leagues. One thing I want to say though, Anthony, is this does seem to have some government backing to it. They seem to think that when it's safe to do so, when the economy starts to get cracking again, that this could be a way of bringing people back together, celebrating a festival of football. And I absolutely agree with your points about it needing to be nowhere near a top priority. The health service needs to be able to cope with it. You're absolutely spot on in what you've said, and the fact that there is no such thing as just being, the referees, the two teams there, and a cameraman. You're talking maybe 150 to 300 people in each stadium to cover each game, something along those lines. But there has to be, I suppose, there has to be a plan. And the plan was originally, let's postpone to April 30th. Then we went on and we were saying, okay, maybe the season will have an indefinite finish at some point. But just to go back to Harry Kane, you said that you didn't see what Harry Kane came out and said. He said that if it goes on past, I think, the 30th of June, he thinks it should be scrapped. Now, first of all, fuck off, is my answer to that, Mr. Harry Kane, who obviously has no vested interest in this league campaign finishing because Spurs currently sit around 8th. So probably no chance of Champions League football. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite, boy. I'm not fully on here wanting Liverpool to win the league without a shadow of a doubt. But there does seem to be a lot of love for this idea. Now, obviously, everything is pending the health services being able to cope. And life, I won't say getting back to normal because it's going to be a very long time. But I think this is just probably the most well thought out plan that I've heard so far. From my humble experience.
Yeah, I'd say it's the most well thought out, but it's almost like they're putting something in place rather than nothing, just to please people. Because I can't see this going ahead, just because, as you're saying, how many people it's going to take, and if there's injuries and stuff, then that's really going to hamper the teams with the smaller squads compared to the bigger squads than a normal season would.
So what would be the answer? Like we've seen, and I was talking about this with Cash the other night, we've seen that the FA have basically null and voided anything below North and South non-league. And you can already see, I think there's 60 plus clubs have come together, absolutely dismayed at such an early decision by the FA to cancel non-league football. South Shields, I believe, 12 points clear, some other clubs as well. So you can see, mate, what type of shall we say, litigious situation that might involve. Can you imagine that for the Premier League, League One, League Two, Championship, clubs promotions, relegations, hundreds of millions at stake, if the league was to get to a point where we just said, well, hey, forget about it this season? I just can't see a way that it can happen. I think, in my humble opinion...
Yeah, I agree. The season's got to finish, even if that means pushing back next seasons to start later and then sort of gradually over the next 3 or 4 seasons finding our way back to the sort of normal start period. But for me, the Premier League's not like the World Cup having it in a short period. For me, it just seems like it would be something that would hamper a lot of squads, particularly near the bottom of the table.
Well, let's look at it this way. Majority of clubs, 9 or 10 games to play. Yeah? That's fair enough?
Yeah.
So, if they're talking about maybe a 6-week period... Let's say clubs play something like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Something along those lines. Yeah. I think, of all the ideas I've heard, this one seems the most logical because you are going to have each team quarantined in a hotel, and yes, this will involve them taking time away from their families, much like it would if they're at the World Cup or the Euros. And particularly because the Euros were going to take place this summer anyway, Anthony. I think a lot of these guys and their families should probably prepared for that kind of length of period away from their loved ones.
Yeah, a lot of them will be. It's not.
Obviously England won't have because they're going to get knocked out rather early in the Euros like they always do. But the Dutch and the Germans and the people that might actually go and win the tournament. Sorry, little sly dig there.
Remind me, how are Ireland doing with their qualification?
We're on the way, mate. On the way. Just 2 handy away European qualifiers to go, and then we're there. And we must be favourites to win it at this point with our fantastic track record in international football.
No, going back to the point that it is a solution, but for me, I just think that it's sort of I see the pros to it, but I just see too many negatives in the way of sort of the teams at the bottom. But if it means the season gets finished, I guess that's sort of the main thing in terms of football. Obviously, the main priority is people's health, but in terms of a football, the priority's got to be finishing this season.
It has to be. I mean, and I'm with you. If it means, I won't say scrapping next season, but finding a different way of going about next season, perhaps. It has to be finished. And look, yes, I am a hypocrite. I'm a Liverpool fan. We are 2 games away from winning the league. I get that. But even if people that are watching this that despise our football club push this to one side, you've got a Leicester City fan on the line right now. I can get you Leeds fans, West Bromwich Albion fans, Fulham fans. There has to be some type of a resolution, Anthony, because quite frankly, mate, if this was left to the courts, it would be one hell of a mess, and it would be a PR disaster that nobody would want.
Yeah, if it was left to the courts, you've seen some of like the non-league sort of legal battles going on. Imagine that with like Man City lawyers, Liverpool lawyers. You could imagine Leicester, all down the league. And then when you look at the bottom, it would be the same with the teams near the bottom. Premier League can't afford that many lawsuits, I don't think.
Absolutely, and I want to get your take. Actually, I spoke the other day about, I think it was something like 8 of the top 10 clubs in the Premier League, or 6 of the top 10 clubs in the Premier League have gotten together and written to lay out the fact that they don't want Manchester City to be able to take part in next season's Champions League if their appeal hasn't been heard. What's your thoughts on that? And were Leicester part of that, actually? I genuinely don't know.
I don't know. I saw that there was the clubs sort of wrote in, but I don't know if Leicester was part of it or not. But for me, I think that's a good thing, because it would almost be, I don't know if you remember, it's obviously different situations, but when Chelsea had their transfer ban, they tried to use that for the first sort of window to as appealing it to be able to have that window to use. So I almost feel like Man City would keep sort of appealing it and using it through the courts so they could get into next year's Champions League, even if they're going to lose that appeal.
True. Ladies and gents, by the way, while I have Anthony on the line, if there is anything you would like to ask him from a Leicester City perspective, or maybe even something from an outside perspective about Liverpool, please do put your questions into the chat, and I promise we will get to them soon. Let's talk about some sexy stuff, Anthony, the stuff that us football fans all love to talk about, and that is, of course, transfers. Harry Wilson, I know we've talked about him before when we were on your channel. What are your thoughts on the potential of him joining Leicester City? Because I've got to be honest, mate, at 30 million quid, I think would be robbing you.
Yeah, so do I. There's undoubted talent with Harry Wilson, and he could go on to be an absolutely outstanding player. But at £30 million, there's better value in the market with like Chukwueze, Sarr from Watford that we've been linked to, Under from Roma. There's better value.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been astounded at the money that Michael Edwards has been able to command for players to come out or to leave Liverpool Football Club. I think of the Jordan Ibe and many others over the years that we've saw the Fairview to Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke, and we've always managed to do really, really well. So maybe, I don't know, wherever Harry Wilson does end up, like you've said, I genuinely believe there's a footballer in there. I think he is of the Premier League level. I just don't know, like, you're going to be Champions League club, you know, barring an absolute catastrophe next season again. And is he a player that will be able to go in the Champions League, maybe go to the Santiago Bernabeu, maybe go to Turin to take on Juventus and make a difference? I can't see it personally.
No, neither do I. And realistically, he seems sort of to me like a player that is the level of sort of some of the players that we've got coming through our academy, not a player that we could be signing for 30 million.
Now, let's get to Ricardo Pereira. What do we have to do, mate, to get him to Anfield? Do you know what I mean? We want him. I'm not going to lie about it. Myself and Connor have come to the conclusion that Ricardo Pereira deserves to be playing for Liverpool. So how can we make this happen?
He'll be coming to Anfield next year for one game and then coming back to Leicester.
Oh, I like it. I like it, mate. He is a class player. We've had this discussion on your channel as well. He's definitely somebody who a lot of Liverpool fans have looked at and gone, nice. How important is he to that Leicester setup?
He's crucial. Like, he doesn't get the numbers that Trent gets, but I would say he's as important to us as Trent is to you in terms of the way that he gets down that right-hand side, links up play with Perez, Maddison and Vardy, and he's one of those players that if you're sort of struggling to unlock a door, he's got a bit of magic in him and stuff. So I would say he's absolutely crucial. Him and Ndicka are probably our 2 most important players.
Red for Life has a question for you. He said, Boya, how happy are you with Brendan Rodgers as Leicester City manager?
Oh, it's brilliant. I absolutely love him. It was when we sacked Puel, there were so many names being thrown around from like Big Sam to like Ralph Hassel, I think I got that right, the Southampton manager. The fact that we got Brendan Rodgers, in my opinion, one of the best British managers, it's just absolutely incredible. And you can see sort of a transformation in some of the young players since he's come in, like Maddison, Harvey Barnes, and particularly Iheanacho has gone on to another level. Because Iheanacho under Puel, he looked like an absolutely useless player. Like, I really like when we signed him. It was an expensive signing at like 25 million, but we just didn't see any of that. And this year under Rodgers has built that confidence back up into him, and we're really starting to see a good player from Iheanacho. So I think he's exactly what we needed in terms of Brendan Rodgers as the manager.
Iheanacho, the shithouse who missed that against Manchester City on purpose. I'll never forgive him for that, mate. Never. Nobody's ever going to convince me that he did not miss that chance against Manchester City on purpose. But we'll move on from that.
This is that season, you might believe it.
Oh, no, nothing. Nobody will ever convince me. Iheanacho could be there in front of me and I still wouldn't believe him. So, Liz wants to know, what player are you most worried about losing in the transfer market this summer?
The player that I think that's most likely to leave is Chilwell, but I still think he's replaceable. He's a good player, but at the same time, he makes a lot of mistakes and he doesn't do the basics very well at times.
Yeah, again, another player who I think we looked at under Brendan Rodgers when he was at Liverpool, Ben Chilwell. He's developed rather nicely, and you know what, mate? I look at your squad and it has all the hallmarks of a team that, if it can stay together, could continue to be Champions League football and challenging towards the top end of the table, because you've got a manager that, you know, has his faults, as all managers do, but he does like to play football in the right way. And I'm sure that you guys are the King Power, like, enjoy going to watch Leicester City week in and week out.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. We scored so many goals attacking front foot football. We had a little bit of a dip around the Christmas period, sort of from the Norwich game at the King Power to when we played Norwich away. Sort of that month and a half wasn't the best because sort of the tempo slowed down and wasn't as attractive football. But majoritively, since Brendan Rodgers has been here, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Red for Life, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, mate, the newest member to our family. Thank you for signing up, mate, and becoming a member. Again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, about the delayed start to tonight, but as things is often the case, bad news doesn't come in ones or twos, it comes in threes, and my ring light packed it in, which is just another headache of an expense. But hey, we push on. There was a question here for you from Hex Boom. He said, who would you like as a realistic replacement for Jamie Vardy, seeing as he's probably only got a few years left in him at the top level?
Ooh, there's a couple of names so for me, if he could keep his discipline and not get red carded every other week, I'd love Alfredo Morales from Rangers, but it's that discipline problem that really worries me.
Yeah, he's definitely got something about him, doesn't he? He knows where the goal is, and if you could just harness that into the right type of energy, like Wayne Rooney as an example, Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez, Diego Costa. There are a lot of players like that who like to play right on the edge, and if you can harness that and get a focus into the right channels, then you could have one hell of a player there.
Yeah, there's obviously undoubtedly a player there. It's just, it's like with Vardy, he's always sort of on the edge, and he occasionally does get a red card for sort of a stupid slide tackle or sort of losing his head. But with Morales, that seems to be a more frequent thing. So hopefully, under a more experienced manager than Gerrard, obviously he's doing a decent job at Rangers, but Brendan Rodgers has been in the game a lot longer than him in terms of management. But maybe Brendan Rodgers could calm him down slightly.
What do you think value wise when it comes to somebody like Alfredo Morales? I've seen some figures around £18 million mentioned.
I've seen anything from in between 18 to sort of 35. So if we were to get him for about 25 million, I think that would be great, because I think that him and Iheanacho sort of bear two different types of strikers, and they would be able to sort of complement each other well.
Yeah, good show. Right, let's see if we have any more questions. So, the Cop Council, how are you, Connor Niblett? said, or Nesbitt, excuse me. Nesbitt? Connor, how are you anyway? Do you think Leicester will bring in a Jamie Vardy replacement this summer, is what he wants to know. Now, we spoke about the Morelos thing, but do you think that maybe that's something that could happen this summer?
Potentially. I actually, going back to the point about other players we could bring in, we've got George Hurst as well coming through the academy who could potentially be that player. But then that's a lot of pressure to put on a young player to replace one of the greatest players who's ever played for our club, to sort of expect that from him, if you know what I mean. So it's a lot of pressure to put on him. So for me, I don't think we'll sign anyone this summer, and we might see a bit of George Hurst next season, sorry, and dependent on how George Hurst gets on will be to whether we sign someone else or not.
Actually, while you're talking about Jamie Vardy there, and you talk about him being one of the greatest players to play for your club, it kind of got me thinking really quickly, where would you put him in the pantheon of Leicester greats over the years, mate?
He's got to be near the top, especially with the loyalty he's shown, sort of staying when bigger clubs have come in for him, staying at Leicester and showing loyalty when others have moved on to when others didn't show loyalty, and he's been offered more money, bigger clubs and stuff. I'd say he's got to be at least in the top three.
Nice. I think I have another question for you. Who would be your dream signing this summer? Now, I suppose try and keep it a little bit realistic.
Dream signing. I would love to say Mahrez coming back because we need a right winger, but that's not really realistic. So I'd say Under from Roma.
Do you know what? I've watched Cengiz Under play quite a bit for Roma, and he's underwhelmed me at times, mate. Sometimes I look at him and I go, there's a player in there, but I just wonder, again, I haven't seen enough of him to notice, but I wonder, is he a bit of an attitude issue?
It's one of those, you can never really tell without watching a player week in, week out, sort of what their attitude is, but you see moments of magic from him that just remind me of Mahrez, the way that he can sort of glide past a player. And since Mahrez has left the club, we haven't had a proper right winger. We've been playing Perez, who I absolutely love as a player, on the wing, but he's not a winger. He's a central player.
V8 has a question for you. He said, Boya, what player from Liverpool would you like to take if you could take one?
Mane, and put him on the right wing.
Sadio. I fucking love that man, I have to say. Actually, on this, I was seeing earlier on there was a vote on Sky Sports News for the player of the season. I want to know who you think should be player of the season. If, let's work it up until this point.
There's got to be quite a few contenders, hasn't there? I would say Vardy's got to be in the reckoning, and I've seen so many people, so many sort of different conversations say not even mentioning Vardy, but he's top goal scorer in the league. I would say for you guys, Henderson's been key for you. You saw the drop off you had when he wasn't available. Who else? Aubameyang, I know he's been Arsenal have been horrendous this year, but he's been very good himself. De Bruyne and Grealish, those would be sort of the five names that I would put in.
On the vote on Sky, and I'm not sure if Liverpool fans have hijacked this, but Jordan Henderson was leading that vote the last I checked. My vote was actually cast for Sadio Mane. I think he's I love the guy. I mean, I love all of our front three, and actually I love our whole squad, but for me I think Sadio would edge it. And I know a lot of people say that, look, it has to be a Liverpool player because Liverpool will most likely go on to win the league, but hey, Mohamed Salah won it when we didn't win the league, so I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be a Liverpool player. And outside of that, probably De Bruyne for me is probably the next best. But as you've said, Vardy up until his injury was ridiculous, is the only word I can use, mate. He was banging in goals for fun, and I won so much money betting on Vardy to score this season, buddy. It's been ridiculous, how well he's been playing. And you did notice a drop off when he wasn't available. So how many years do you think he has left at the top level?
You were saying about the drop-off that we had. I don't think that was mainly down to Vardy not being available. I think that was to Ndicka, because they both had an injury at the same sort of time. And there's a noticeable difference in our team when Ndicka doesn't play. But in terms of how long he has at the top level, I'd say another 1 or 2 years. I know he's 33, but he didn't start his professional career till a lot later, so he's got a lot more left in his legs, in my opinion. But it's just hard to know, because he could have all of a sudden hit hit a brick wall and sort of be done. So it's one of those. It's just guesswork, really. But I'd say another two.
Yeah, it's difficult because some players you can see going on to 37, 38, but player like Jamie Vardy is, I won't say completely reliant on his pace, but his pace does play a big part in his effectiveness and his direct style. So I kind of get where you're coming from with that one. We touched earlier on, Anthony, on the possibility of different ways or different scenarios that the Premier League might play out, and then we haven't even touched on the Champions League. But what are your thoughts on the FA Cup for this season as an example? Do you think that there's any way that that's going to be finished?
Selfishly, because Leicester is still in it and we're one game away from Wembley, I really hope that it does. But in terms of financially, surely the Premier League's got to be the priority.
And if we were to take many other leagues around Europe as an example, do you think that there is a case to let's say, scrap the Carabao Cup completely to try and ease visitor congestion? And I'm not just talking about because of what's happened here. I mean, this was a conversation that was being talked about before all of the stuff that we're going through now. And I don't even like to say the name of what we're going through now for fear of YouTube demonetising us. So what do you think, mate, going forward? Many other leagues only have one domestic cup competition. Obviously in England there's two. What are your thoughts on it?
This is something I'm actually quite passionate about, of keeping both the cups, because it's easy to say as a big club fan, oh, it's too much congestion and stuff. But for the lower clubs, it's absolutely huge to get a big tie away at a team like, well, not even away, just against like Liverpool or a Chelsea. Like when you see Shrewsbury like drawing against you and then getting the replay as well, that'll be absolutely huge for them. Not just financially, because that will come into a factor for them, but for their fans to get to see their team play against one of the top clubs in the country. It's sort of memories for a lifetime. And really, that's what about being a football fan's about, isn't it? It's having those moments. And I remember even as sort of a championship fan supporting Leicester, when we played Chelsea, I think it was 2011, Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, even though we lost 5-2, the fact that like going to Stamford Bridge, just that whole day was incredible when you're playing championship teams each week. And I've actually got a mate who's an Exeter City fan who he still talks about Old Trafford in 2005 when they went to play Man United. So it's one of those where it's easy to say as sort of a bigger club fan to scrap it, but the benefits go a lot deeper than just the bigger clubs.
I absolutely hear where you're coming from, and it's lovely to see you standing up like that, because you're right, it is easy when you're at the top table of English football and you're talking Champions League money and you're talking the riches that come with the Premier League to forget about the lower down tiers. And one thing I would say personally is I despise any replays in the FA Cup, any whatsoever. I just don't get it. I mean, I understand. I think at the time, if you want to flip it around and you want to come to play at Anfield, or you want to come to play at King Power, and you want to try and get that payday, then maybe that should be, if you get drawn at home, let's say against Liverpool, and you want to flip it, and you want to come to Anfield, or you get drawn against Leicester City, and you want to get a bit of a payday, then so be it. Also, I think sometimes no replay would give more potential for an upset, if you get where I'm coming from. Like, let's say Liverpool are having a really bad day and we're playing somebody like Exeter, and Exeter have us on the ropes and it's 1-1 at home and it goes into extra time. Anything is possible, mate. There's probably much more chance of a giant killing there than the replay.
Yeah, they're potentially with a giant killing, but then even if I feel like Exeter would, like, I don't want to make it all about money, but Exeter would earn more money from playing you twice than beating you first time.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that. I mean, the maths definitely adds up on that, particularly with the game will most likely be televised as well, which would mean more money in their coffers. I just think something has to give, mate, and I don't know what it is, but we're at a point now where we're going into a season next year, whenever it may start, that we've got the Euros, we've got the Copa America, you've got the African Cup of Nations, you've got the Premier League, you've got the Champions League, you've got the two domestic cup competitions. I think we just have to get to a point where we need to look after players a little bit more. And I think it also needs to get to a point where, I mean, my personal belief, and I've said this a few times, I think that there's too many divisions in English football. I think there's too many tiers in it. I just don't think there should be as many full-time clubs as there are. But then again, look, mate, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. Going back to the point about getting rid of the domestic cups as well, obviously this is much more sort of, I don't have this problem at Leicester, but do you guys, I know a lot of your guys' fans have trouble getting tickets for Liverpool games in the Premier League. going to cup games is a really good way of getting cheaper tickets and actually going to see a game. So for me, I think it's a great opportunity even for bigger club fans who don't get to go to many games to go and see their team play.
True. What have we got? The Dugout Football Channel, thank you for the super chat, mate. Said, Anthony, your favourite Leicester player of all time? Surely it's Vardy.
Vardy or Mahrez. It would be Mahrez if he hadn't made the comments he'd made after he left.
Yeah, he's a quality player. What? Holy shit! Sorry, mate. Sorry to cut across. Ken Coastal Holiday. Let's thank you, mate. A £50 super chat. Wow, thank you. Yeah. Look, Anthony's going to be on for about half an hour, but I've got stuff I want to get into with our Liverpool fans about our channel and the future of our channel that I'll get to a bit later on. But holy God, mate, thank you so much for that. That is so kind of you from somebody who's always been very kind to us. Right, Anthony, anything that you want to talk about, mate? Anything in the football world, any transfers that you've seen, Leicester related or non-Leicester related, that you think is worth a bit of a natter being chat? Sorry, I don't know if that's the same phrase that's used in the UK as well.
I would sort of, for someone who doesn't watch Leicester every week, I'd like to know where you think we should strengthen in the summer.
Again, it is difficult to say this as somebody who doesn't watch Leicester every week, but I'm going to go with something Brian said earlier on as well. I look through the spine of your team right now, and I'm not convinced by Kasper Schmeichel. Let me be honest about that one. I think that he's got too many mistakes in him. He's somebody who can be amazing, but he's somebody who I think has some mistakes in him. Ndicka, massively important to you. Vardy, massively important to you. I think you need another striker. That's what I would say. I think you've addressed that issue yourself. The fullbacks, if you can keep everyone that's there, I think maybe centre back, but then again, I'm maybe just going off this because I've seen Harry Maguire leave and Soyuncu has come in and been very good, no doubt about it. But it's difficult, mate. I mean, I could probably see a shout for a little bit more experience. I mean, Wes Morgan could perhaps be finishing up this season, or maybe he is. I'm not up on Leicester. I think a little bit more experience. I mean, for us, when Brendan Rodgers brought in Kolo Toure as an example, and when we've seen James Milner come in, sometimes when you have a squad as young as yours and as talented as yours, and as this Liverpool squad as well, that little bit of experience maybe, mate, might be something that could come in and help with the Champions League, particularly next season, looking likely.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely, because there's been a couple of games, bigger games this season, where we've almost like shrunk under the occasion of it. And I think a bit more experience in our squad would have helped us in those games. The one that particularly springs to mind is Man City away, where we went 1-0 up, and we still, after that, we still kept trying to play like expansive football and stuff, and they just tore us to shreds. And I almost feel like if we had a more experienced head on the pitch, I know Johnny Evans is experienced, but sort of another one that we might have sort of made ourselves a little bit more tight and a bit harder to break down.
Johnny Evans has been some signing for you, I have to say. He really has been an absolute stalwart for your defence. I mean, congratulations on that signing, mate, with the value you've gotten for it.
Yeah, 3 million. I said it at the time that we sold Maguire. Johnny Evans was a better defender than Harry Maguire, and I got called salty, delusional, and all of that at the time. The results of it speak for itself. The fact that another centre-back, Soyuncu's outstanding, don't get me wrong, but another centre-back who's never really played in the Premier League's been able to come in alongside him and improve our defensive record.
While we're talking about transfers and other bits and pieces, mate, something just popped into my head that I often think about, but it'd be lovely to get your perspective on it. What are your thoughts right now on the situation that Real Madrid and Barcelona find themselves in? Because for me, I think they're scratching around, and I think they're in a bit of trouble.
They deserve to be in the trouble that they're in for spending money that they don't have. That's like, I don't follow Spanish football massively. I know it's unpopular to say it on here, particularly at the moment. The only team I sort of have a little bit of a soft spot for is Atletico. But for me, they deserve to be in the trouble they're in, signing players like Coutinho, signing players like Griezmann, even Malcolm, when they don't have the money to do it.
It's absolutely true. And as Coutinho as an example, mate, when Coutinho joined Barcelona from Liverpool, I think something like 8 to 10 million of that he actually had to pay for himself, which baffles me. And you're right, like we can go through it. We can go Dembele, I mean, okay, maybe jury's still out on him because he's had injuries and stuff. Coutinho hasn't worked out. Griezmann, I will never understand. I said this to Connor the other day. I'll absolutely never understand why they went out and signed Antoine Griezmann. And then for Real Madrid, as soon as I heard that Zinedine Zidane was coming back in to take over as coach, that smacked of desperation to me.
Yeah, I never like teams going back to their old manager. I know it worked for us with under Pearson, but at the top level, you're right. It just smacked of desperation and almost like that they were stuck in a corner because they got the manager of Spain, didn't they, in a bit of a dodgy way, like not telling the Spanish FA and stuff, getting him fired before, was it the World Cup or something like that, or the Euros? I can't really remember. So they went about that in a bad way and then almost shat themselves, sorry for the expression, and then went back to what was working before after Zidane resigned.
Yeah, they went out and got Julian Lopetegui, who was... yeah, it was a shitstorm. You're right, there's no two ways about that. The way they went about that, the way he got fired, then it just didn't work out at all. But look, hey, I mean, I don't understand, mate, why anyone takes those jobs. I really don't. I don't understand why you go there as a player, and I don't understand why you go there to take those jobs, because nothing is consistent. You look at the Premier League right now, Manchester City, Pep Guardiola's been in there a fair few years now, nice and consistent. You look at Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp's been there, nice and consistent. I don't see that with the top clubs in the La Liga, and I think as a league itself, as much as I enjoy watching it, and I watch an awful lot of La Liga, I think even the way that they're now trying to just sell the rights, so they're trying to bring the league back up, it's not the powerhouse it once was. I mean, football is cyclical. Like when I was growing up, and I'm not sure about yourself, you're a bit younger than I am, Serie A was the big thing on Channel 4. I mean, that was the time, mate, where you're looking at the Batistutas, the Rijkaards, the Hullets, all the sexy stuff in Italy. And then Spain became a powerhouse. But one thing that we have to give the English credit for, mate, is the introduction of the Premier League, the money that came with it from Sky. It just keeps churning bigger and bigger and better and better, and it is without a doubt now the biggest and best league in the world.
Yeah, and even at the top quality in Spain, you could argue that it's better than the Premier League. I don't think it is, but there's definitely an argument there for it. But when you look at the sort of the quality throughout the league, and you look at the teams like Norwich, who are bottom of the Premier League, there's players in that Norwich team that I would argue could get in most top six teams. So I think the sort of talent is spread so much better throughout the league than it is in Spain, because in Spain there's sort of 3 or 4 teams, but the talent spread around, and then a couple of decent players past that.
Yeah, and looking at the other end of the Premier League table, mate, if we do get back going, and fingers crossed that we do, who do you think's doomed for relegation?
Hopefully Villa.
I love the way you didn't even pause there, mate. Well in.
Norwich and Bournemouth. I think it's still quite tight, but I think Norwich, Bournemouth, and Villa are going to be my 3.
Do you know what? Norwich is a really interesting one because Daniel Farke plays some really good football, and when they played us at the start of the season, they gave us a good game. They obviously beat Manchester City as well at Carrow Road. If you would have asked me at the start of the season, there's no way I would have had Norwich going down.
No, they drew with us at the King Power and then beat us at Carrow Road. And the thing for me that they lack, as good as Pukki's been, they need someone who's sort of going to score more goals. You can't just be as reliant on Pukki, because I know Cantwell's been good and Buendia, but beyond those 3, they've not really had many goals, and then they've made a lot of defensive mistakes, which I know they've got a young team, but I still think if they go down, I could see with a lot of the players that they've got there, if they can keep the core. I know players like Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis and Buendia, Cantwell will probably leave, but if they can keep that core, I think they'll come back up.
Thank you, Liz, by the way, for the super sticker. I do love that little fist pump, dude. It is so cool. So, look, let's turn things over to your channel for a little bit, mate. How are things going with you? I know, obviously, it's quiet now, but you've seen some good growth this season, which I love to see, because I've always said you're a guy that I think puts out good content. You're a regular match-going Leicester City fan, home and away. How's the growth been for you, and are you enjoying being monetised? Because it took you a while to get there, and I was so happy when you got that news.
Growth's been steady, let's say, since the football stopped, but to be honest, I'm just having fun doing content at the moment. I'm doing a career mode on FIFA, so I'm just really enjoying that. Looking at potential signings that could come into Leicester in the summer, not players that are linked, but players that I think could fit in quite well. And yeah, it's just the growth's not the best at the moment, but I'm just having fun with what I'm doing.
I mean, we spoke earlier on about the fact that you guys are most likely going to end up with Champions League football next season. Have you started saving for it already, mate?
I had, but then this little virus, shall we say, has meant that I'm most likely not going to be able to go. But it is what it is.
That season that you did have Champions League football at the King Power, mate, how special was that? Because look, as often as Liverpool have played in Europe, I never tire of hearing the Champions League anthem. I never tire of the lights at Anfield and the Tuesday, Wednesday night football. So how was it for you guys?
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. The game against Sevilla, where we looked like we were going to go out. We went into it 2-1 down after the away leg. Ranieri had just been sacked, and I think we beat you in the midweek actually because it was Craig Shakespeare's first game, but then to go and beat Sevilla in the way that we did, the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and it was one of those nights that I'm never going to forget.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? There is something. I don't care what people say. Manchester City fans can boo the anthem all they want. There is something special about hearing that anthem, seeing that big football in the centre of the pitch being waved by all the kids around it, and just seeing your team lining up, mate. It is beautiful. And you know what? There's a lot of love for Leicester City. I mean, there has been some issues between the two clubs. There's been some shitty stuff said from both sides of fans, but all in all, the Leicester City fans that I know and the Liverpool fans that I know that interact with Leicester City fans, we genuinely do wish you guys well, mate. And I always enjoy having you on for a chat. I always enjoy chatting with Lee Chappie as well. And what I will say to everybody is, look, you've seen how nice of a chat boy it is. Make sure, go over, click on his channel, subscribe to him. You will get some good content there moving forward as well. And mate, as I always say, there's always a place for you to come on here and have a chat with us. I really enjoy our little conversations, and we need to do it more often, mate, particularly with the way things are right now.
Yeah, obviously we had the chat on my channel last week, but it's always good to talk to someone who's always like respected you, listened to your opinions and stuff, and not shot them down, even though it's different to yours.
Look, I think the way I've got into do this channel with Connor is that we know we're just football fans. I love being educated on here. I love being educated by people like yourself who come on and share your opinions. I love talking to Lee Gunner. It is just a place, mate, where we can all exchange opinions if we do so in a respectful way. It doesn't mean that we always have to agree. I mean, we kicked off tonight by having a little bit of a disagreement about the way we see the potential end of this season and the way that I was a bit more optimistic about the 6-week tournament. But as you said, it's okay to have a difference of opinion, and there's always a microphone here for you, mate. There's always a place for you to come on our channel. I know our subscribers love when you're in the chat, let alone when you're on here having a talk. If there's anything that you want to pitch before you head off, anything you want to let the guys know about, even about your what is it you said, was a football manager, or were you doing... I'm not a computer game person, sorry.
Leicester City career mode on FIFA is, well, I'm doing that every other day. Potential signings, and also I've got quite an interesting video coming out with Lee Chappie on Thursday, hopefully, doing a combined 11 of the title-winning team and this year's team.
Nice. If anyone who doesn't know who Lee Chappie is, firstly, shame on you. Secondly, he is the Jamie Vardy lookalike, and he's lots of fun. He's a good lad, Lee.
Yeah, I haven't got a bad word to say about Lee.
Nah, you couldn't. He's just one of those lads, isn't he? He's always got something nice to say. He's always got a smile on his face. He's one of the good guys. He really is. So look, Anthony, mate, thank you so much for coming on. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, you can see on the screen there, it's at LCFC _ Boya _ YouTube. That's, I think, your Twitter account. Is that right, Anthony?
Yeah, that's Twitter.
And then, of course, on YouTube, it's just LCFC Boya. We're subscribed to his channel. I hope you are as well. I always enjoy having you on, mate. Thank you so much. And look, I know it's not the greatest of days or the greatest of times to talk to each other, but I do always enjoy our chats, mate. And I wish you and your family a healthy and safe end to what we're currently going through. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say the name of it.
Yeah, you too. It's been good talking. Hopefully you come back on soon.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Take care, Anthony.
Right, bye.
Bye. Ladies and gents, it's just you and I. Let me take my cans off. I do apologise. I believe there was a little bit of an issue with the stream earlier on. What I was trying to do, and it might have been a problem at my end, is I was trying to record it for Anthony as well, so I could send some footage over to him because he wanted to use a little bit in his channel. So I was trying to probably use up too much memory and stuff on my computer, or too much processing power on my computer. I'm not technically minded. But look, it is over to you and I now, ladies and gentlemen. Anything you want to talk about, please do let me know. I do have some notes here I can go through as well. Interestingly, so we know that there's been some good relations between Liverpool and Rangers, mainly because of the players we'd loaned, Stevie G being up there. Something that I read today caught my eye actually, something in the Echo. It said Jim McCall, who is an extremely wealthy Scottish businessman, has claimed that he was contacted by FSG about the possibility of them teaming up to take over Rangers. The interview went on to say that the Moneyball technique, which is, a quote from it, said that will be used to help resurrect the club's fortunes. Did anybody else have a read of this one? And again, thank you to Anthony so much for coming on. I always enjoy chatting with him. But yeah, did anybody read this actually on the whole thing with Mr. McCall? Because I don't follow Scottish football too much. Also, there's talk about Ousmane Dembele, which I want to get into as well later on. But if there's any more transfer gossip or rumours that you guys want to talk about, please do put them in the chat and we'll do our best to get through them. Right, what else have we got? Wouldn't be a bad move, said Hex Boom. Would I take Dembele from Barcelona? Asked Benjamin Terrell. Right, so on that, a Spanish newspaper called Sport, I believe is the name of it, has claimed that Jurgen Klopp wants the Reds to put aside around £80 million to bring in Ousmane Dembele to Liverpool from Barcelona during the upcoming transfer window. You know what? I think the figure is about right. I mean, Barcelona overpaid for him, there's no doubt about that. Now, I have no idea if Barcelona will be willing to take that fee for him, but one thing you have to make sure is that he comes back from injury and he hasn't lost any of his pace, or he hasn't lost any of his ability, because sometimes if a player is as explosive and as fast as he is, an ACL can be an injury that could impact that. Sometimes players come back, I'm not saying they doubt their body, but it can take them quite a long time to rebuild trust in the injury. So Ousmane Dembele at 80 million, I think he wouldn't be a bad piece of business if you could get his attitude sorted out. I mean, unfortunately, I'm starting to read more and more stuff now that seems to suggest that Jadon Sancho is more likely Manchester United bound than perhaps Liverpool bound. So if we are looking for another player to come in on top of Werner, who I'm still convinced is going to be a Liverpool player, you know what? I wouldn't mind Dembele at around that fee if Klopp is happy with his attitude, because there is undoubtedly a very, very good footballer in there. Somebody who can be scary when he gets in full flow. But it's one that I will be on the fence for, but I can understand the thought process behind it. But I don't know how true the story is. Let me just put that out there. I really haven't got a clue. I don't think Sancho's the finished article, said Hex Boom. Klopp can get the best out of him along with Timo, Werner and Minamino, said Soldier 1. Again, let me say a massive thank you to Ken Coastal Holiday Let's, aka Carl, our friend, who sent in a £50 super chat earlier on. That is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for that. What we're going to try and do, ladies and gents, is we're going to try and see out the season minimum. I mean, everybody right now has been hit right across the world. We are no different to anybody else. As things stand for us, we're just trying to keep going along. Like, the last thing I needed today, for instance, was that fucking light breaking before it was just about to come on. And we're going to try our best to go through, see out the season, and make sure that we can use the reserves and money that we have, whether it be our own savings or whatever. And we're going to try and make sure we can at least see out the season for you guys. But after that, I can't make any promises as to what the future holds. But we're going to try our best. We're going to keep fighting, as we've always said. We're working hard in the background, trying to find ways to, raise revenue without impacting you guys, and doing a few other bits and pieces as well. But look, we're going to start trying to get back over and doing stuff on Hot Mic as well. Terry from the Football Terrace is going to join us on Wednesday for a conversation. We're going to do that probably on Hot Mic and on YouTube. If you're not sure about Hot Mic, you know by now. There's a link in the description. Let me just change this so I can show it over. Where is it? That one? Nope, not that one. That one, there you go. Yeah, so there is a link to Hot Mic. If you want to put that in, Anfield Agenda is the code that you need to put in. Other than that, look, I've always been honest with you guys. It's been tough. It's been a tough few weeks for everybody. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. From my point of view, I'm just going to keep my head down, try and plough on, and see where we end up. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. It is what it is. If we go under, we go under. I don't know what to say. It is what it is. The future holds what the future holds. There's much more important shit to worry about. And as I said, things come in threes, don't they? For me, computer start playing up, ring light broke. It's just one of them fucking things, ladies and gents. But I ain't gonna moan about it. We're gonna push on. Transfer talk, the Dembele stuff. Let me know what you want to think or what you want to talk about. Justin the Wood said, keep going, Craig. We'll try to donate what I can, mate. You don't need to. You're already a member of the channel, buddy. That is more than enough, Justin the Woods. And thank you. I can see that you're a member that's been here for 3 months, mate, as well. So I really appreciate that. John's put in the link if anybody wants to download Hot Mic. The Watchalong Champions League Final 2005. Friday is the day that we're going to do that on Hot Mic and on YouTube. So put that in your diaries, please, ladies and gentlemen. We're probably going to start the show at about 9 o'clock and then we're going to start the game at about 9:15 just to give people a chance to get on, get the stream. We will supply you guys with the link and all that stuff so you can get the same stream as us, and we're going to keep going at we're going to kick it all off at the same time. We'll do a countdown to hope that we can all sync it together and watch it. And we're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to go through the entire 90 minutes, extra time, penalties, the whole cat and caboodle. So I hope you can join us for that one on Friday. And as I said, Terry from Football Terrace is coming on Wednesday for a chat as well. Right, what else have we got? Neil Anthony said, what about the managers who get sacked if the season was voided? That's something I haven't thought about at all, Neil. I haven't got a clue. It's just another thing, I suppose, mate, amongst many other things that would have to be sorted out if the league did come to an end for whatever reason. But as I said, for those of you coming in a little bit late, I did touch on something that Miguel Delaney wrote in The Independent, and that was about the fact that there was a lot of love or a lot of maybe planning going into the fact that there might be something going on in July or August that sees a 6-week period where all the remaining Premier League games, I think it's 92 games, get played, and every single one of them would be shown on television in a massive television event. Also, each club, I think, would be, I won't say quarantined, but put into a hotel where they can be kept as safe as can be. And look, I think this has some backing from the government as well. If you want the full information, go over, check out the article on The Independent, or go and check out Miguel Delaney's Twitter account. I'm sure he has a link up there to it as well. It's a very interesting piece of reading, and it would be a lovely way to get us back to some form of normality. It most likely will be behind closed doors, but look, a month or 6 weeks of football every day, couple of games, I'll tell you what, there'd be nothing wrong with it, ladies and gents. I'd be all over that. You would be getting me streaming every single one of them pretty much, non-Liverpool games as well, because I'm not going to lie, I miss football quite a lot. Right, what have we got? Minamino's had nowhere near game time for us to make a decision yet. 100% agree with that, Hex. Nowhere near enough game time. No, you're right. There's no point in even making any judgments on Takumi Minamino right now. He's only settling in. It'll be next season before we really start to see what he's made of. What else is there? Dylan said he didn't like me. I don't like Minamino. Don't get me wrong. Was bought at a good price. He's 24 at that age. Many players have the quality to improve their game. It can happen, but I don't think Minamino will. I believe that he will. I'll give you an example, Dylan, right? When we played against Salzburg, Minamino was being spoken around at Melwood by our players as somebody who massively impressed them, somebody who they hoped that the club would be looking at, and little did they know that Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards and Fallows and the rest of the recruitment team had been already looking at it, knew about his release clause and brought him in. And yeah, look, the fee is really, really small, but I think we've got ourselves a decent player there, and somebody who, as we said earlier on, shouldn't be judged for at least 6 to 12 months. What else is there? Who's Liverpool's most underrated player? I'm going to say the same thing that I always say, Parma, that situation. That is Jordan Henderson. I always think he's our most underrated player. Who's the better fullback, Trent or Andy Robertson? Trent for me, because of how we play, but they're both amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. Just don't bring Coutinho back. Thank you for the super chat. Red for Life said, just don't bring Coutinho back. And thank you, Joey, as well, for the super chat, mate, earlier on. I forgot to mention that one. Thank you very much. Yeah, Coutinho won't be coming back. There was an article that went out, I don't know if you've seen this as well, where apparently Liverpool had a little conversation, Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp, about the possibility of bringing Felipe Coutinho back when he was available to come from loan from Barcelona. But apart from the 8 million loan fee, they balked at having to pay his 250 grand a week or 240 grand a week wages, and it was a very quick and simple conversation. Coutinho will not be coming back to Liverpool. We enjoyed him while he was here. I keep saying this. He's 27 years of age now, I believe. And I don't know if he'll ever get back to the level that he was at when he was here. But without trying to sound rude about it, it ain't their problem anymore, is it really? Lord Jimbo said Dembele. Yes, mate, we touched on him earlier on. There is an article in a Spanish outlet called Sport, surprisingly enough, that said Jurgen Klopp wants the Reds to put aside 80 million to bring in Ousmane Dembele during the next transfer window. How much truth there is to that, pal, I really don't know. Also, a little bit of news on Loris Karius as well. West Ham are apparently the latest club to be linked with a move for Loris Karius. It looks like it's not going to work out for him at Besiktas. I said to you guys last week as well that his agent had apparently held talks with Sporting Lisbon about a potential move over there. So another one that we can add to the list. But what we can say for certain is Karius won't be at Liverpool long term, no matter what happens here. Dejan Lovren news as well. So we said that Arsenal and Spurs are apparently interested in Degsy. Well, I think you can add West Ham and Crystal Palace to that list. They've also been reported as being admirers of getting Dejan Lovren's signature. 31 years of age, I think Dejan Lovren, or will be when the next season is technically about to start. I think it's the right time for him to move on. I would think he would most likely end up over in Spain somewhere, perhaps something like that. Or Italy maybe, I should say. And I'd also seen something, and I'm sure you guys as well, linking Jadon Shaqiri with a £28 million move to Sevilla. I don't know if anybody had seen that one, and if you have, or you have any more transfer rumours, hey, put them in the chat. You guys know I love to talk transfers. Emma Hickton, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend, the newest member. Thank you so much for signing up, and enjoy all those cool emojis as well. Thank you very much, my friend. What about Harry Kane to Liverpool? Yeah, no, that's not happening. Although it does look like he's starting to pave the way for a move away from Spurs, doesn't it? I've always said, and you guys can go back and check streams, I've said it a few times, for some reason, I've always envisioned Harry Kane ended up at Manchester United, and I've got no idea why. Just in my head, I always thought that he might end up at United someday. Ronnie said, hi Craig, and hello to you, Ronnie. Said, I hope it's not true about Sancho to United, because that's the jigsaw piece. He's a baller. Yeah, I don't want to believe it either, Ronnie, and I didn't want to believe it, but I'm really starting to see more and more stuff, mate, suggesting that he could well be Manchester United bound, but, you know, I guess we'll have to wait and see what the future holds, mate, because I've seen a lot of players linked to Manchester United in recent weeks. A lot of players. Hex said I was done with Lovren after the Watford game. Brian said West Ham love a bit of nonsense between the sticks. Well, I don't know, mate. I think Liverpool, I think we've probably nearly gotten back what we paid from in transfer fee with the loan moves, but he won't be coming back to Liverpool. That's one thing we can say for sure. Hexa, Kane isn't the Liverpool player, too selfish. I agree 100%. And I actually, you know, I did some videos with 888 Sport. There was one that's still yet to come out where I actually give my opinion on Harry Kane and why I think Spurs would be better off without him. But again, keep an eye out for that coming out over the coming months on 888 Sport. What have we got? Dave Smith said, I don't think Kane suits us at all either. Harry Kane's an Arsenal fan. Yep, we've all seen the pictures of him in the Arsenal shirt. Kane will go to Manchester City, said Neil Anthony. Interesting one. I mean, they certainly have the money to get that transfer over the line for sure. United have been linked with absolutely everybody as usual. They have 100%. And I've actually seen Real Madrid, who massively linked, of course, to Kylian Mbappe, starting to see links with Haaland to Real Madrid now. And look, I'm going to be quite blunt about this. Haaland, I'd be amazed if he goes anywhere. Right now, he is playing in the league that he's always wanted to play in. He's playing for a club that he's getting to play in the Champions League. He's challenging the top of the Bundesliga. He's got a good team around him as well, and he has loads of time in his career. So there's no need whatsoever for young Haaland to go anywhere right now. I think he is at the right place at the right time in his career. And I wouldn't believe any links to him going anywhere just yet, because if Dortmund are going to sell Sancho this summer, they ain't going to sell Haaland. Not a chance. Harry Kane's an asshole, said Dave Sweeney. I'd prefer Son over Kane, said Dave Smith. Would I take Son from Tottenham, said Luca. Yes, I would, mate. I've always said I really rate Son as a player, and as somebody that I could see slotting, dropping, whatever the word you want to use, into our system pretty easily. He can be a bit frustrating at times, but so can Sadio and so can Mo. But I do think he's a very good player, son. Ben said, I think Sancho might end up at United. Gabriel said, do you think Adrian and Big Shaqiri will leave? Because I believe they'll stay. Please notice me. Well, Paul Gorst of the Echo believes that Adrian will stay, mate. Or at least he did when he did a Q&A recently. Shaqiri's going. I'd be amazed if he's here. I mean, I've spoken about the links that have been, or the price that's been apparently put in his head of around 30 million. And the 28 million to Sevilla thing is kind of around the right number. Now, whether he goes to Sevilla or not, Gabriel, I don't know, mate. But I can see Shaqiri going for sure this summer. And I don't want to say I hope Adrian goes, because that's very, very harsh. But I think we could do with perhaps beefing up our second place goalkeeping options. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be nice about it, basically. Boya, he's in the chat. How are we, Anthony? Said, Bale to leave Madrid, go back up for Harvey Barnes. They just can't seem to get rid of him, can they? They've been trying to get rid of Gareth Bale for a while, and it looked like he may have gone to China there for a while, but that fell through. And yeah, I think they may even end up having to let him go on a free, as mad as that sounds. Darth Pencil, how are you, mate? Welcome in. And Yibber, thank you for the super chat, buddy. You guys have been so generous today with the super chats. Honestly, thank you so much. I can't even pronounce that name, mate. Victor Shankov. Thoughts on him? He was linked with Liverpool. Have looked at him. Nothing. No, nothing. Yibber, sorry, mate. I know absolutely nothing about him. Maybe somebody in the chat has more info than me. I know nothing about the dude, mate, so I'm not going to lie to you. We've seen Valverde linked to Manchester United. His release clause is 447 million. The world's gone mad. I seen that earlier on, Harvey. 447 million bio clause. That's nuts, isn't it? See, Xavi is it Xavi? I think Xavi has come out and said that he's now ready to manage Barcelona, or something to those words. Maybe he knows something we don't. I don't know. Neil Anthony said Liverpool might be able to get both Werner and Dembele. I 100% believe the finances, mate, would be available if we wanted to sign both those players. I've no doubt about that. So what are you talking? Maybe if we're working off the 80 million that's been mentioned, 135 million pounds, something along those lines for the two of them, we can do it for sure. Particularly if you're looking at maybe moving on Shaqiri for 25-30 million, maybe moving Wilson on. There's a conversation to be had over Marco Grujic. Adam Lallana's going to be leaving at the end of the year because his contract's up. Kleinley's going to be leaving at the end of the year because his contract's up. We may even move on a couple of other fringe players as well, so that could free up another few bob on top of what we already have between Champions League prize money, Premier League money. So yeah, there is money there for sure. Thoblum said, is Terry a guest on Wednesday? Yes, mate. We're not going to be streaming tomorrow. We'll be back then on Wednesday, and Terry from the Football Terrace is scheduled to come on for a chat. And then on Friday, we're going to do the watch-along of the Miracle of Istanbul, the 2005 Champions League victory over AC Milan. So again, keep an eye out for that one. Again, if you want to do us a favour, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been amazing with super chats tonight, and it has really helped, particularly in a time where, I'm not going to fucking lie, we need it. Hot Mic, you can help us financially by signing up to Hot Mic. It doesn't cost you anything. The app is free to download. Go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, search Hot Mic, HOTMIC, put in the sign up code Anfield Agenda, all caps, all one word, and that will help us out massively, and you won't even have to put your hand in your pocket because it's a free app. It's an ad free app. And yeah, it's going to be the future of fan broadcasting, and when we get back playing football, you will see Hot Mic absolutely everywhere. Harvey Barnes will be a great buy for Liverpool, so Junkie Funky Smith. He's someone who I think is still a little bit inconsistent. I mean, I've spoken to Boy off air about him, and I think Leicester fans can be a little bit up and down about Harvey Barnes. Will transfer prices come down with everything that's going on currently, asked Liz. Do you know what, Liz? I thought about the same thing earlier on, mate. I wondered, will we see a more realistic transfer window coming up because of obviously the predicament that all industry is in right now? I mean, Barcelona players have apparently taken a 70% pay cut to help make sure that the non-match playing staff will be able to get their wages as well. So you never know, Liz. You really do never know. Craigie, will the league be completed, said Pranav. I hope so, mate. I mean, don't forget, the Premier League did put out a statement that said that there is a... I can't remember the exact phraseology, but they almost committed to the league being finished, that being the number one priority. I can't for the life of me remember the exact phrase. The word indefinite was in there somewhere, but I can't off the top of my head think of the exact phrase. So yes, I do believe that the league will be finished. I think there is more... I won't say common sense. I won't even say legal precedent, but there was more sense. Sense is all I can think of to finish this season and then look at ways of reevaluating next season or moving it or shortening it or doing something. But when you've got played 28, 29 games, when you've got clubs that are on the brink of relegation in Champions League football, who plays in Europe next season? Who plays in Europe if we were to just cancel the league? Who gets promoted? Who goes down? What about the clubs that have invested massively on the chance that they're going to come up to the Premier League? It's really difficult to say. Get well soon, Rustu Regper, I think is the gentleman's name. Quality Turkish keeper, said the Dugout Football Channel. Thank you for that, Douglas. What else is there? Genie is an LFC hero. We need him. No way we'll sell him. I'm with you on that, Dave. I hope and I think that Genie Wijnaldum will sign a new deal at the club. There's talk it's going to be a 3-year deal, which he deserves. No doubt about it. Genie is so consistent, so durable, and you can play him in a number of positions. So I'm with you on that one, Dave. I hope Genie stays. We've also spoken recently about the links to Alisson and Van Dijk signing new deals at the club as well, which... Again, they've both earned, so you can say that they're contracted to 2023 and 2024, but I think it will be more about rewarding them financially for a job well done. Neil said, breaking news just reported that the Premier League plan to start in May. Now, I've not seen that anywhere yet, mate, nor can I deny it, so I'm just going to open up Sky Sports app right now, and as things stand, I can't see anything on it, but that doesn't say you're right or wrong. The league is to be extended indefinitely is what they said. Thank you very much for that, Mark. I appreciate it. Craig, I'm really waiting for Werner, said Subi. As am I, Subi. And I hope we get him soon, mate. I'd scrap the UEFA competitions next season so it allows players to keep their fitness and risk of injury, said Luca Bradley. I can't see UEFA doing that, mate. I really can't. Like, that is their bread and butter, those competitions. There's massive money behind the Champions League and the advertising and stuff that goes with it. But it's going to be cramped no matter what happens next season, because you've got the Euros, you've got the Copa America, you've got the AFCON as well. The Olympics have been pushed back now to next summer. So much stuff to cram in. That look, I just don't know. Have I seen the link between Nabil Fekir and Arsenal? Asked Reza. Yes, mate, I did actually read that earlier on. Makes some sense. Be a little bit of a risk from their point of view, I think, with his injuries, but I can see it. I could see him being an Arsenal player, you know. I really could see him playing for Arsenal. And if they were to get him off Betis for the right price, I don't know, they probably should have made that move before he went to Real Betis if they were looking to bring him in, but I can't see him in an Arsenal shirt, oddly enough. Ronnie Wood, how are you, Ronnie? Said, Craig, I think we have Curtis Jones a lot more game time next season. Yes, I hope so. Some people still the jury's out with some people on Curtis Jones, not with me. I think Curtis Jones is going to be an incredible footballer and somebody who will be here for a very long time, hopefully. I think he is almost an ideal Adam Lallana replacement as things stand. Yes, we have Takumi there as well, but I hope that Curtis Jones gets more game time, and I think he'll prove himself and step up when he does. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far in his Liverpool career. Scotty said, Craig, we all know Werner could be done, just waiting on the cash to be completed. Game and Guy said, what do I think of Jack Grealish? I'm not sure if you're talking about as a footballer or about what he's done over the past couple of days, mate. I think he crashed his car, didn't he, into some parked cars at 10 o'clock in the morning, sometime around that. I don't believe that there's any talk of drink driving or anything like that, not that I've read anyway. I think people are a little more annoyed that he seemed to have broken the whole stay-at-home thing. But look, it's not my place to judge Jack Grealish, mate. As a footballer, he's had a very good season for sure, no doubt about that. Would I have him at Liverpool? No, I don't think he's our type of player, but he's a good footballer for sure, and he's definitely stepped up since he's gone into the Premier League. Kamal Khan, excuse me, mate, said, I believe Liverpool should be given the league title because nobody will catch us. I get where you're coming from, mate, but I don't want an asterisk beside Liverpool winning the Premier League title. I want us to win it because we've won it. Do you know what I mean? I want us to win it because it's mathematically impossible for us not to win it. Look, we all know with 9 games to go and us needing to win 2, it's a done deal if we get to play the games. But I don't want us given the title. It just wouldn't feel right. I really don't. But what has amused me a little bit is how pathetic some opposition fans are. And I'm going to use the word pathetic. I know it's a strong word. But there are a lot of people out there who are taking more joy in the fact that Liverpool might not win the Premier League title than they are the seriousness of the situation in the world that we're dealing with right now. So, all I can say to all those horrible bastards is that karma's a bitch. And if Liverpool are to be denied the Premier League title this year, we're going to fucking win it again. So, all you sad fucks are just going to have to take it on the chin, because no matter whatever happens, Liverpool are going to win a Premier League title. Whether it be this season, next season, the season after. It is coming because this group is too good not to do it. And all you sad fucks out there who are hoping and praying beyond hope that Liverpool don't get to win the Premier League title this year, just so your sad lives can get 5 minutes of being able to come on and be little Liverpool fans, that says so much more about you sad fucks than it does about the rest of us. So if you are one of those people, my condolences that your life is so fucking sad, that is the height of your ambition right now, and that the club maybe that you follow is in a pretty shitty place right now. And a lot of these seem to be Arsenal fans as well, by the way, for some unknown reason. I don't know what we've done to not endear ourselves to a lot of Arsenal fans, but hey, look, it is what it is. But from me to all of you guys, all of you begrudgers out there, a massive, wholehearted, hearty Irish fuck you to each and every one of you. Mwah! That's all I can say with that, because it's gonna come. It's coming. It's gonna come. We're too good not to win it. So yeah, as I said, a massive fuck you to all of you begrudgers out there. Right. How can Jones and Minamino not be an upgrade on Lallana? Absolutely sorted in that area, said Brian. I don't want us to be given the title, said Pete Dwyer. Joanne said Jack Grealish posted about staying at home, then the next day he drank, then drove. Did he drink though? Did he drink? I don't know. I don't know if he did or not, Joanne. I have not seen anything to say that he did or did not. I know that he did leave his details there. That much I did read in the article. Dave Smith said, I'd prefer to win a proper. United would clown us forever if we were given the title. Though I think Liverpool will be just as good next season, they expect a drop off. Oh, just as good, mate, but I also expect other teams to up their game as well. I mean, United will get better. City will invest. Leicester will invest. Spurs will invest. Chelsea will invest. But let me put it this way. If it was to be taken away from Liverpool, and if circumstances beyond everybody's control meant that this league could not be completed for whatever reason, one thing we know about these players is that they are determined. They could have taken last season's loss to Manchester City and felt sorry for themselves, but they didn't. They put the bit between their teeth and they went out this season and put in the season so far that has been remarkable, and we'll do that again. I believe in this group of players. I believe in the manager. I believe in the mentality that they have. Yeah, I think we could do it, mate. I really do. I really do believe. I believe in this group so much. I can't say I haven't had this much belief in a Liverpool team in probably all of my adult life. Craig, you're right. People like Rio are saying the Premier League should be voided is because we're on top. Imagine United were on top. He would say the opposite. Rio Ferdinand is a gobshite. I cannot say that clear enough. Rio Ferdinand is a gobshite. I am sick of hearing that man's stupid opinions. Sometimes, with regards to football, unbelievable player Rio Ferdinand. One of the best defenders the Premier League has seen. But, as you've rightly said, if this was United, it would be different. Harry Kane, if Spurs were in 4th or 5th place right now, would not be spouting the shite that he's spouting as well. Casper said Robbie Lyle from AFTV wants the Premier League to be voided. Robbie Lyle can fuck off as well. Robbie Lyle can fuck off, DT can fuck off, and all of these begrudging bastards can fuck off. Because you can be assured, if Arsenal weren't as dog shit as they are, that each one of them fuckers would want Arsenal to be pushing for the Champions League places. If Arsenal were 4th or 5th or 6th right now, Robbie and DT and all those other begrudging Arsenal fuckers would want the league to be finished. So, quite frankly, am I going to take my footballing advice from Robbie and DT? Am I fuck going to take any piece of information from those two? I'm going to take my pieces of information from people inside the game that actually know how the system works. Let me just address Robbie and DT. Do you think that if the Premier League just gets null and voided right now, everyone's going to shake hands and go home? Don't be so fucking naive. There would be lawsuits all over the place. Now, granted, none of them would involve Arsenal because you're fucking pathetic and you've got nothing to play for, which is why it's easy for you guys to sit in front of your camera and go, oh yeah, void the season. It's the only sensible thing to do. It's the least sensible thing to do. And if you had a fucking ounce of cop on, you would know that it's the least sensible thing to do. Am I biased because I'm a Liverpool fan? Of course I am. But I'm also a realist, and I understand that if the league was to be just voided now because you two clowns want it to be, that it would be an absolute shit show. So as I've said all along, fuck off, you begrudging pricks, and concentrate on your own piece of shit football club. Nobody cares what you have to say. Just shut the fuck up and do your usual bullshit ranting in front of a camera, or go on TalkSport and be made an absolute fucking mockery of by Jim White and the lad that used to fucking own Crystal Palace. Other than that, shut the fuck up, because nobody gives a fuck what you've got to say. You've got 1 million subscribers on your channel because everybody tunes in to fucking laugh at the state of that football club. So don't get on your high horse and think that you guys suddenly are the be all and end all of football knowledge. You know fuck all. And that's all that I've got to say on that. I bite my tongue on Arsenal Fan TV often enough, but I fucking hate that channel. Hate it. It is dog shit. Anyway, let's move on and get back to something more fun to talk about, rather than those fucking clowns that built their entire channel of belittling their own fucking fan base. There you go. I mean, facts are facts, truth is truth. Imagine going on TalkSport with no fucking facts whatsoever to talk to Simon Jordan, who used to own a football club. You go on there to talk to a man that bought himself a football club and try and explain to him why you're right. And then you get yourself bullied by Jim White. Jim fucking Yellow Tie White makes a show of you, and you just sit there and allow it to happen. Nah, sorry man. There's no fucking way that that situation would happen with me or anybody that is in any way fucking prepared. So there you go. So Arsenal, again, Arsenal and all their fans that want the season to be over, you have your Invincibles. Enjoy it. That's all you're going to have for a very long time. So just shut up talking about our club, because we're sick of it. Sick of it. You begrudging fucks. Right, what else have we got? Do I think Liverpool need midfielders this summer? Maybe an attacking midfielder. Maybe. Clickbait Central, AFTV. Look, I've always, I don't like that channel. Of all the fan channels, I don't like it. I don't know the two lads. I don't know DT. I don't know Robbie. I've never met them. But I'm sick of listening to their bullshit opinions. I'm sick of seeing clips of them spouting nonsense. Because it's not factually based. It's just something that came into his fucking head. Just stick to telling kids that you earn more money than their parents. Just do that. Just stick to that and calling people nonsense, mate, and walking around with your hands in your jacket and all that bollocks that you became famous for because you know fucking nothing about the game. Nothing. Like literally nothing. I have forgotten more about football than that fucking clown will ever know. Right, what else have we got? Right, alright Craig, if we buy players this summer, we have to wait to get them over to us. I don't know how it'll work. I really don't know how it'll work. I don't know how the hell it'll work with the transfer window this summer. Yeah, I haven't got a clue. What else is there? Junkie Funky Smith said, I really think Liverpool are going to cash in on Genie. 40 to 50 million. He's nearly 30 now. Plus for me, Curtis Jones could step in. I hope they don't, mate. I really hope that they don't. I can see where you're coming from, but Genie and Jadon to me looks like a footballer who can play the game until he's 36, 37, 38 years of age. I hope we don't. I love Genie, I really do, man. I think he's been one hell of a player for the club. Anyone heard of this young defender, Malik Thiaw? We're linked with 7 million. Yes, I did speak about him the other day, pal, and I can't remember now for the life of me. And by the way, the reason I'm being so blunt when not giving a fuck right now is if our channel's going to die and we're going to go away and go bankrupt at the end of the season, I might as well get these fucking opinions off my chest right now and say what I have to say, because I've bit my tongue and held back too long about certain things that I've wanted to say. Look, there's a lot of people out there that I respect massively. Mark Goldbridge does amazing work. Anfield Rap, amazing work. Redmen TV, amazing work. So many channels out there doing great stuff, making their fan bases proud, standing up, sharing wonderful opinions with wonderful insight, and then there's them. Yeah, that guy though, Tia, who was he? I can't remember. Was he from Lille? I definitely remember talking about him, mate, the other day. I just can't remember where he was coming from. But yeah, we had been linked with him. But no, I'm not even going to pretend that I've watched them. What have we got? Latest is teams could play 3 games a day. There's no way teams are going to play 3 games a day, Ant. It just isn't possible. Now, 3 games in a day is possible, Ant, for sure. But not 3 games with the same team playing in a day, mate. That you know, there'll be injuries all over the shop there. What else is there? Keep Genie for another season and keep an open eye transfer window for a replacement to bring somebody up. Carnavinga, as somebody that Mr. Ray said, in an ideal world for me, if we were to replace Genie Wijnaldum, and if we were able to go into the transfer market and bring, and I don't want to replace Genie, I fucking love Genie. Donny van de Beek would be the obvious for me if you were to go and try and find somebody who could come in and take Genie Wijnaldum's place. But I want to reiterate, I don't want Genie to go anywhere. Brian said, if you void the season, do you think the goals scored by players that got wiped in the history books? There's so many little things like that, Brian, mate, that, yeah, we probably haven't thought about at all. But it's a good shout, you know. It's a really good shout. And as Lucas said as well, yeah. What about the bonuses, Brian, that they've been paid for those goals? What about the match balls? If they get a hat-trick, would they have to give the match ball back? What about season tickets? There's so much, mate, that we could go into on this one, that the people who just say void the league probably haven't even given a fucking second's thought to. They just get this stupid thought in their head and just go, oh yeah, void the league, yeah, that works, yeah. Clearly, only sensible thing to do, void the league. What else is there? Am I watching the Robbie Lyle documentary on ITV tonight? No, I'm not, mate. And I've got nothing against him as a person. I don't know Robbie Lyle, and I don't know DT. But what I do see is some of their opinions and the way that... Look, they're fucking a million times bigger than this channel will ever be. So who the fuck am I to talk about AFTV? Do you know what I mean? They've built their channel up doing what they're doing. But no, I'm not going to watch it. Nor did I watch that piece of shit TV show that he made on Channel 4 or wherever the fuck it was as well, that had loads of potential but was an absolute fucking shit show. A lot of Reds would give up on footy if the league was totally cancelled, said Ant. I'm not allowing myself to think about the league being cancelled yet. I really amn't. Craig, the centre-back you were talking about is from Schalke by any chance? That's a great shout, Subi. Yes. Well in, mate. I think he was from Schalke, you know. Well done, buddy. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, gonna wind this up and bring it to a close to tonight. Thank you again to Anthony, aka LCFC Boya, for coming on earlier on. Please do make sure to go over and give him a subscription as well. If you've enjoyed our stream, please do hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the stream as well. The hot mic details are there for you guys. We're going to have Terry from the Football Terrace on Wednesday for a chat and a United perspective on what's going on as well. And then on Friday, we're going to host the watch-along of the 2005 Champions League final. So make sure you're following us on our social media accounts for more information and stuff on that. As always, thank you guys for your love and support. Can you get a whoop, 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 whoop? Of course you can, mate. I would apologise for my rant, but you know what? I felt fucking good to get it off my chest because it's genuinely how I feel. So look, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for your love and support. Do I have tats? Yes, mate, I've got sleeves. Love you all. I hope that your families are well. That is the most important thing right now. Please do what you're being asked to do. Make sure that you take care of yourselves. Do all the things that we're all supposed to be doing. I wish you and your families a very safe and loving and enjoyable in any way possible time ahead. I appreciate the shit out of all of you for coming and watching. Thank you so much, ladies and gents. Love to you all. I will chat to you on Wednesday. Looking forward to having Terry on. Until then, look after yourselves.